Jimmy, your babysitter's here. I heard the familiar words from my mommy, who was actually my wife of 3 years, who was busy getting ready for her date in the other room. I was in my nursery, sitting on the floor, where I'd been told to wait for my babysitter's arrival. It still drove me crazy with jealousy to see Denise getting ready for a date with another man. All this while I was destined to spend another long, lonely night in my crib. The unfairness of it grated on me constantly, and not for the first time did I strongly resent our unequal relationship. On evenings such as this, I was inclined to put up a fuss and be a pest with her. So increasingly, she had relied on the services of Brooke, our current babysitter, to keep me out of her hair. I saw the door to my nursery was soon being pushed open, and Brooke's pretty face, with her long, silky blonde hair framing it, beaming like sunshine as she looked down upon me. "And how's Mommy's little girl?" she asked solicitously, although her tone of voice couldn't mask her amusement. Brooke was a gorgeous, mature college student. Brooke treated me like a little, and Denise had given her the task of babysitting me when she was too busy to put up with me herself. Brooke had taken to the job like a fish to water, enjoying her power over me, and Denise had given her full authority to discipline me as needed. And despite the fact she'd been babysitting me for over a year, I still burned with humiliation whenever she came over and saw me dressed as I was. It certainly wasn't helped by my wife's choice of attire for me. I was wearing a frilly pink gingham Sunday dress, anklets, and glossy black Mary Janes, looking a little different from a precocious toddler. It looked like Brooke had just left the university because she was dressed in casual clothing suitable for the warm summer months. Short, snug shorts that showcased her firm thighs, toned from years of cheerleading, and a form-fitting white crop top that revealed her flat washboard tummy. "What a pretty dress you have on, Jimmy," she exclaimed as she came over and felt the eyelet lace trimming the short hem. "Is that a new one?" "Aha," I mumbled as I blushed with renewed embarrassment. My wife had made it clear to me when we got married that she would be the one in charge. She had even gone to the extent of making me sign a prenuptial agreement which established our very different roles. Basically, I was to do as she told me, whenever she told me, and without question. I had been so awed with her incredible beauty and statuesque body that I was willing to agree to anything, so long as it meant living with her. What I hadn't counted on was her plans to gradually feminize me and lower my effective age to that of a preschooler. Our first argument had ended badly for me. She'd settled it by yanking me over her lap and giving me a blistering spanking with her wide-backed hairbrush, reducing me to tears in just a matter of moments. Not satisfied with my childish display of defeat, she continued to soundly paddle me, driving home her absolute authority over me and forever relegating me to secondary status. After that, she gradually threw out all my underwear, replacing them with lacy panties and putting me in girly dresses to wear around the house. But it was when she caught me doing untoward acts that things took a turn for the worse. After another painful and humiliating spanking, this time in front of my mother-in-law, she produced a chastity device. She had never been happy with my equipment down there, and this was just another way for her to take control over me. We had only been married for months when she happily brought home her latest purchase, a stout wooden paddle with numerous air holes drilled in the face for the extra sting. Even though I had been on my best behavior that day, she still insisted on breaking it in upon my panted bottom. I was sobbing like a baby by the time she finished, and since that first day, I've felt it sting many times, often, for only the slightest of reasons. It was not long after that Denise hired some workers to come in and redecorate our spare room as a baby's nursery. A large, oversized crib dominated the room, and the walls were papered with pink cartoon characters. This became my room, and I was told the master bedroom was now off limits to me. Soon, Denise began seeing other men, and she made no secret of her weekly liaisons. Her mother fully approved of her plans, and she would often come over to babysit me, happy to treat me like an infant, and it was her idea to change my bedtimes to 7:30 every night. I knew better than to argue with her since she had shown no hesitation in blistering my bottom with Denise's paddle. It was also her idea to extend my monthly chastity sentence to 3 months at a time. Okay, let's put away your coloring book, Jimmy, it's time to get you ready for bed by now, Brooke said as she summarily closed the page. I had been drawing on and began putting away my crayons without waiting for my approval. AW, is it time already? I whined miserably. I couldn't believe it was already after 7, but since my nursery had no clocks in it, I never had any way of knowing what time it was. Yes it is, Sissy, it's time to get you changed and ready for bed, she explained in her motherly tone. Let's get that dress off and then it'll be time for night-night. I pouted as she pulled the frilly ensemble over my head in outstretched arms before hanging it up in the closet. She returned almost immediately with a pink and white fuzzy fleece diaper shirt, decorated with a Disney princess theme. No sooner was it pulled into place than she presented me with my nightly bottle. Here you are, Jimmy, drink up your num-nums, she sang merrily. I accepted the 32-ounce baby bottle with blocks and giraffes and reluctantly began nursing the warmed milk. I had begun to suspect it was laced with a mild sedative and diuretic. This was in order to better control me. It wasn't for nothing that my crib mattress had a waterproof sheet covering it. Taking my hand, she led me over to the changing table. A low, padded and vinyl-covered surface 6 inches above the floor to sit me down upon. I see your mommy has begun putting plastic panties over your trainers during the day, Brooke observed with a trace of surprise in her voice. Are you wetting during the daytime too now? Her pointed question made me blush furiously. But she seemed oblivious to my discomfort. I had an accident the other day, I mumbled as I stared down at the pink carpeted floor, unable to look into her pretty green eyes. Well, I'm not surprised, she said casually. A big sissy like you really should be in diapers all the time, not just for bedtimes. I'll bet Denise will be making a few changes around here before too long. I winced inwardly at the idea of losing my last connection to adulthood, however pathetic it was. Please don't tell her to do that, I pleaded with her. Everyone knows what a bedwetter you are. If you can't keep your panties dry during the day, she'll have no other choice, she quipped. Now drink up, Sissy, she insisted as she put the bottle back to my lips, effectively ending our conversation. We don't have all night. I pouted helplessly as Brooke snaked my yellow plastic panties down from my thick cotton training pants and put them aside for later use. Still dry for now, she mused aloud, oh well, not for long. Down came my trainers. Brooke giggled as she looked down at my caged. You didn't really think you were going to be able to satisfy Denise with this, did you? She asked. Not sure if her question was meant rhetorically. I shrugged lamely and continued nursing from my bottle while my cheeks burned with shame. This is so small, it's of no good to anyone. I think it is just as well she decided to lock it up. How long has it been now? She asked as she began gathering the thick cotton diapers next to her. 2 months, I said in barely a whisper. Well, only 1 more month to go, Sissy. That shouldn't be any problem, she said with a confidence she couldn't possibly feel. More likely, she just didn't care. No. This is where you belong, she said as she slid a tall but soft stack of preformed diapers under my raised rump. Securely pinned into a thick, thirsty set of baby diapers with some snug plastic panties to keep your childish wetting under control. I want to get up and run from the room. However, I was forced to sit there and endure her humiliating comments. Just take a look at these, she said brightly as she held up a fluffy white diaper. So soft and comfy, with a nice soaker strip sewn through the middle for heavy wetters like you. Just then, Denise strolled into the room unannounced, looking as if she were almost ready to leave. Hi Brooke, how's it coming in here? She asked, completely ignoring me. Just changing the sissy into his diapers for the night, she replied with crisp efficiency. looking over the top of my upraised bottle. I drank in the awe-inspiring sight of my wife, framed within the doorway. She hadn't yet put on her dress and her fabulous body was impossible to ignore. Her tall, 5-inch stiletto heels lent her a commanding presence. I reflected with gloominess. Looking down at me with an enchanting smile on her face. I could plainly see Denise was excited about her date. It was equally clear she was pleased to see me under control and out of her hair. Being put into my diapers and readied for bed like an incontinent toddler. "Can you help me with the zipper of my cocktail dress when you're done?" she asked Brooke. "Sure thing. We're just about done here," she replied as she shook fragrant baby powder over my body. It was terribly embarrassing to be in this position. Her manner towards me was so completely unfeeling. One might have thought she was folding laundry. Denise turned on her heel. I was briefly treated to one momentary view of her body as she returned to her bedroom. "Your mommy seems very happy with her new boyfriend," Brooke said as she drew one side of my diapers up and pinned it to the other corner at my hips. "I think this is date number 3. My spirit sank while I was confined to my nursery. "Don't look so grumpy, Jimmy," she chided me as she drew up the other side and pinned it in place. "You should be happy for her that she's found a man that can finally take care of her. We both know you were never going to be able to do that." My eyes moistened with tears and I looked away. Too ashamed to look my pretty babysitter in the face. Taking a pair of shiny white nursery print waterproof panties. She shook them out with a flourish as she held them up before me. "What do you think, Jimmy? Do you think these will look fashionable with your Disney princess top?" I squirmed with embarrassment as she smiled down on me in anticipation. "Or would you prefer these cute pink panties with the lace?" she asked as she briefly picked up a polka dot pair of vinyl panties with white lace around the legs and waist. "Personally, I like the white nursery print, so I think that's just what we'll dress you in tonight," she told me without waiting for an answer. "And anyway, it's not like you'll be showing off for anyone tonight in your crib. These plastic panties are good because they have nice snug elastic around the legs and waist. That's an important feature for bedwetting sissies like you." Gathering them together in her hands, he began snaking them up my skinny, hairless legs. With some effort, she worked them around the considerable bulk of my diapers, ensuring that none of the soft cloth was exposed outside the elasticized seams. "There you are, babykins," she said brightly. "All safe and secure now in your sissy panties. That should keep your crib dry." I whimpered and fidgeted, fussily nursing my milk as she made a few adjustments and checked around my waist. I hated wearing diapers and plastic pants, but like everything else in this house, I had absolutely no say in the matter. After briefly powdering between my legs, she patted the shiny smooth face of my bottoms with satisfaction. "All ready for beddy-bye," she announced. "Come on, hurry up and finish your bottle. It's time to brush your teeth and then it's into your crib for the night." I gulped the last of the tepid milk and I could already feel the drowsiness beginning to wash over me. Soon, I reflected miserably, I would be asleep in my crib, helplessly wetting my diapers while my wife was being ravished by some other man. Awkwardly, I stood up and waddled toward the door, my bulky diaper preventing me from completely putting my legs together. Brooke followed me out, slapping the thick seat of my diapers as a way of hurrying me to my task before going to meet Denise in the bedroom. Dutifully, I did my business, wishing I could make use of the toilet like an adult before returning to the nursery. But I was only allowed to brush my teeth and I knew Brooke would be impatiently waiting for me when I finished. I knew from experience that pulling my diapers down or fiddling with them in any way was grounds for a spanking, so it wasn't worth the risk. A few minutes later, I waddled back to the nursery to see her talking with her boyfriend on the phone. "Hey, gotta go," she told him when she looked up to see me in the doorway. "But I'll see you soon. I've just got to tuck the baby in." I also hated having to go to bed so early when everyone else's evenings were just beginning. "Can't I stay up a little longer?" I begged her. Sorry Sissy, Mommy's orders. You're to be in your crib no later than 7:30, she said as she glanced down at her watch. Looks like we're about 20 minutes early tonight, but that'll be just fine. But I pouted crankily, it's not even bedtime yet. I stamped my feet in protest at her apparent indifference. Brooke skipped up the big pink rubber pacifier on the dresser and brought it over, pushing it against my lips. Open up for your parky, baby, she said in a sing-song voice, ignoring my point completely. Ah, I refused petulantly, angrily pursing my lips together. Now Jimmy, you can either go to bed with or without a hot, stinging bottom. What's it going to be? She said in a firm, demanding voice. Balling my fists together in frustration, I hesitated, but only briefly. Brooke had no qualms about putting me over her lap to teach me a lesson, as I'd already learned the hard way previously. Acknowledging her superiority, I obediently opened my lips and she pushed the thick rubber nipple into my mouth, ended the discussion once and for all. My cheeks reddened with humiliation at being defeated by this young hottie, but I let her remove my Mary Janes before guiding me to the open side of the crib. She pulled back the soft pink coverlet and I lay down, feeling the cool vinyl plastic of the mattress cover against the bare skin of my legs. She pulled up the blankets and handed my teddy bear to me, tucking it in under my arm. That's a good baby, she said, once more in her pleasant mood. Reaching down, she kissed me on the cheek briefly and I inhaled her wonderful perfume. This one fleeting kiss was as close I got to have any kind of jot, and I savored the instant, wishing somehow to make it linger. But Brooke was already closing the side of the crib, latching it in place before she turned and made for the door. Night-a-night, Jimmy, she said as she gently closed the door behind her. After the door closed, the lights went out and the nursery became dark, save for the dim light put out by my Dumbo night light on the far wall. Denise had designed it that way so that the lighting could only be controlled from outside of the nursery. The door was also only lockable from the outside, and I heard Brooke gently turning the knob to make sure I was secure for the night. It would be another 12 hours before someone came in to check on me. By then, my diapers would be thoroughly and completely soaked. In my utter frustration, I was tempted to spit out the pacifier and let loose with a string of colorful curse words, but even with that, I knew better. A baby monitor stood on the dresser top, a permanent way for Denise or Brooke to listen in on my nursery activities when I wasn't being supervised. Among my other restrictions, I was forbidden to swear. It wasn't worth a spanking and mouth soaping just for a few words said in haste. Except for the crinkling and rustling of my plastic panties and the mattress cover, the room was quiet, and I tried to listen to see what was going on in the rest of the house. Denise was saying something to Brooke, and before long, I heard the front door close. A moment later, I heard the sound of her Lexus pulling out of the driveway and fading away down the street. Without realizing it, I suddenly felt slight warm wetness seeping between my legs and a trickle of pee flowing against my skin. With a panicked gulp and a cry of despair, I managed to shut off the flow, but the damage was already done. Now I'd have to try and go to sleep with a distracting wet spot in my diaper. It was going to be a very long night.